Hello students, welcome to the English class. Today I am going to teach you the second chapter, Long Walk to Freedom, written by Nelson Mandela. Who is Nelson Mandela? Let us have a brief about the personality. Nelson Mandela was born on 18th July 1918, right? And he passed 30 years in prison for fighting against the apartheid in South Africa. Apartheid, what is apartheid? We'll see in the chapter. It was a big discrimination among people by their caste and color, right? And how Mandela fought against this policy, this apartheid, and finally democratic elections were held in South Africa in 1994, and Mandela became the first black president of a new nation. New nation because of it was the new era, the new time in which there was no any discrimination, like there was not any policy like apartheid. And in the election, his party, African National Congress, ANC, got 252 out of 400 seats. So that was a big victory for him, right? And autobiography, as you know, this lesson is an extract from Mandela's autobiography titled Long Walk to Freedom. Extract is a part, right? Autobiography, you know that how a person who writes about his own life, this is called autobiography, and how Mandela had written his autobiography, or this lesson is an extract taken by that autobiography. Here we find a description of the inauguration ceremony. In the chapter, we'll see that inauguration ceremony, right? And it was a very pleasant occasion, very happy moment. And as you know, that his party, how they won 252 seats out of 400. And first time in South Africa, democratic elections were held, and the inauguration ceremony took place in the Union Buildings in Pretoria. It was the place, and this ceremony was attended by politicians and dignitaries from more than 140 countries around the world. So how from all the countries, the politicians and the dignitaries, well-known persons or the people, they came and they joined the inauguration, and they joined the function. Then Mandela expressed his inner thoughts for freedom and its importance. So in the chapter we'll see that how the inauguration ceremony is there, and during that ceremony, in his own speech, Mandela actually revealed his inner thoughts for freedom. That how did he fight against it? How the entire South Africa was suffering, how the discrimination was there, between black and white. So everything we'll see in the chapter, right? So now let us start the chapter, Long Walk to Freedom. Before you read, see here, these are the lines. Apartheid is a political system that separates. What is apartheid? I told you, apartheid is a discrimination. So what is it? Is the definition written here? Political system that separates people, that segregates people according to their race, that their color, caste, like. And can you say which of three countries named below had such a political system until very recently? So obviously the answer would be South Africa, right? And another thing, have you heard of Nelson Mandela, right? Now I let you know about Nelson Mandela, a small brief, so you know better. Mandela and his African National Congress, ANC party, right, spent a lifetime fighting against apartheid. So his party was fighting against this policy, right? And Mandela had to spend 30 years in prison. That was important. How he was imprisoned for 30 years because he was fighting against this. And finally, democratic elections were held in South Africa in 1994. Okay. And then Mandela became the first black president of a new nation. That was a new nation because of now it was no discrimination over there, because Mandela had won against this, right? In this extract, from his autobiography, Long Walk to Freedom, Mandela speaks about a historic occasion. Historic occasion, what? That ceremony. I mentioned there the inauguration. Can you guess what the occasion might be? What the occasion? What was the function? And check your guess with this news item from BBC of 10th May 1994. This is the date. Okay, see, 10th May 1994, the day of the inauguration, and actually it was the the brief, and in the box it has been written here. It was the news which was published in the BBC, that newspaper, right? So the news article now we have to read. So what was written in that news? Let us have: Mandela becomes South Africa's first black president. So it's a headline of the news. Nelson Mandela, let us have the news. Nelson Mandela has become South Africa's first black president after more than 3 centuries of white rule. It was a big victory for Mandela, and for 3 centuries the black people, they were fighting against white people, against white rule. And Mr. Mandela's African National Congress, guys, the name is coming again and again. See, ANC, that was the political party, right? Party won 252 of 400 seats in the first democratic elections of South Africa's history. So that was a big history ever, that Mandela's party won 252 seats. Okay. And now the inauguration ceremony took place in the Union Buildings Amphitheatre in Pretoria today. An inauguration ceremony. Inauguration what? That taking oath and such kind of things which happened after the victory of the election. So that ceremony was happening. Took place in Union Buildings. Where it took place? Union Buildings Amphitheatre, that multi-purpose hall that used to be, and Pretoria. Pretoria is a place today. Attended by politicians and dignitaries from more than 140 countries around the world. This is, we have read there. Never, never again. See the line. This was the line spoken by Mandela. Never, never again will this beautiful land experience the oppression of one by another, said Mandela in his address. So how he addressed the audience, the public, on the day of the ceremony, this was one of the important lines that was addressed by him, and that was that never, never again will this beautiful land, what is, who is? South Africa, right? So that South Africa will never experience the oppression what? It is the torturing. How the country was suffering for 3 centuries. So that was the oppression, it is called here, it is addressed here. So Mandela said, or he expected that from then his country, that beautiful land will never experience the same oppression, that same torturing by one by another as it was in South Africa earlier, said Nelson Mandela in his address, right? See, jubilant scenes on the streets of Pretoria, followed by the ceremony with the blacks. Jubilant. It was very excitement and very splendid and very happy moment, and a very good scene over there. It was a good view. Said that jubilant scenes on the street of Pretoria, followed by the ceremony with blacks, whites, and colored celebrating together, and more than 1 lakh South African men. See. How many? 1 lakh South African men, women, and children of all races. That is important, because previously, it was not allowed in South Africa. There was a big discrimination among people, black and white. The segregation, the separation was there. But now, after the victory of Nelson Mandela, right, how he became the first black president of the country, there was no any discrimination. So all kind of men, women, children of all races sang and danced with joy. How they were all singing and they were all dancing all together. So that was the happy moment, the jubilant scene for all. Okay, so this was the news published. Now let us have the chapter 10th May. And now this was the inauguration moment, that what was happening on the day 10th May. See, 10th May dawned bright and clear. It was the new rise, and that was bright and clear for the past few days. Bright and clear. Why did he say bright and clear? Because now, how they were in the new era, in the new vision that was, there was no discrimination now. Now, the country was completely free from that policy. So he mentioned here that it was a new dawn, it was a new rise, it was a new sunrise, which was very bright and very clear. And for the past few days, I had been pleasantly besieged by the dignitaries. Now Mandela, he is talking here that from past few days. How from the few days he had been pleasantly besieged, surrounded, you can see here he was surrounded by the dignitaries and the world leaders, because how all the people from different countries, all well-known person, very popular and famous, people and dignitaries and the world leaders, political leaders, they went and they attended the party. So how Mandela was surrounded by all those people, and who were coming, why those people went there, who were coming to pay their respects. They were going there to give their tributes, their respect, their regard before the inauguration. Sorry for the interruptions, guys. So how Mandela was thanking to all distinguished, all popular and international guests for having come to be there, to be present over there with the country's people. And what was that? Being those people, being those dignitaries over there with the South Africans, it was the common victory for justice, right? It was the victory, because how democracy came in South Africa and how black people won, and for peace and for human dignity. So that was the victory. What was that victory? Coming all those nations, people in South Africa, sitting along with South Africans, it was the common victory for justice, for peace, and for human dignity. Okay. See, we have at last achieved our political emancipation, freedom. Now, Mandela was declaring among all those people that they have finally achieved their political emancipation. Emancipation, that freedom. We pledge, now he is ready to pledge along with all those people, South Africans. We pledge ourselves to liberate, to free, to free all our people from the continuing bondage of poverty, deprivation, suffering, gender, and other discrimination. How all those social evils were there, right? How South Africa was suffering. So now Mandela gave the freedom, gave the liberty to all the people from the continuing bondage of poverty. Now there will be no poverty, no deprivation, no deprivation like that, having a state of not having one's rightful benefits, so the common and regular benefits, which are given to the civilians, but they were not having, that was deprivation, and suffering, gender, and other discrimination, right? Never, never, and never again shall it be that this beautiful land will again experience the oppression of one by another. That line was in the news headline, guys. That Mandela just took an oath again that never, never, never that South Africa will experience the same oppression, that same torturing, that disaster one by another in the country. He will not repeat the same. Okay, and the sun shall never set on so glorious a human achievement. And now the sun shall never set on. The sun, the new rise which has come into South Africa, will never set on, will never go again. It was a big, glorious human achievement for the South Africans, right? Let freedom reign. God bless Africa. And he declared among the people that let freedom reign. Freedom will be forever in South Africa, in our country, from today, from now onwards. And God bless Africa. So that was his great speech, delivered an address to the audience, right? So this is for the day, and next video will continue this chapter. Okay, thank you.